Jools was the most beautiful, polite, happy boy.
Yeah.
I'll sob down the phone and say, I don't want my life. She went, I know you don't, but you've got some stuff to do, so, you know.
As people, we don't really want to look into the dark corners because it's too much. How can you bear that?
Yeah.
How can you hold that pain?
I've got nothing to lose. I've lost everything in my world. The only way I can get the data from the social media companies is by redoing his inquest, which I was told was going to be £86,000. That's the first time that they've actually said they have deleted his data. I sent this little video that said, I know you can do this, Mum. Be strong, stay brave, I love you. And I would watch that video over and over and go, right, Jools, off we go. I was just one mum that stood up and went, this is wrong.
In this series of interviews, I want to talk to women who've had extraordinary experiences and led inspiring lives. Today, I'm joined by a woman who suffered the most painful experience imaginable when her 14-year-old son died in unexplained circumstances. Her subsequent efforts to find answers in his social media history has seen her launch a campaign which forced changes in the law to help bereaved parents, pressured the government to implement an under-16 social media ban, and now finds her locked in a fierce legal battle with international tech giants. My guest is campaigner Ellen Roome MBE. Hi.
Hello.
Hello.
This is Ellen.
So nice to meet you.
Hello, hi.
You look gorgeous.
Oh,
you
thank you
do.
very much.
How are you doing?
I'm okay, thank you.
Come and have a seat.
Thank you. Where do you want me? Over there?
Over there in the corner. Make yourself comfy. How are you doing?
I'm okay, thank you, yeah.
Well, you've been really busy with all the campaigning and everything.
Just a fair bit, yeah.
Well, people are listening and things are changing, which is great.
Very much so.
Okay. Ellen, thank you so much for being here. Like, on behalf of everybody, the whole team, like, we're just so sorry that you're here under these circumstances. It's the worst. It's the worst any parent could ever begin to imagine. I'm just sorry that you've had to live through this in your life. If we can go back to the beginning, really, of your life a little bit, because just to get a sense of the person that you are, and I think how you grew up really sort of shaped you, really, because your father was in the RAF.
That's right.
And there was a lot of movement. And so how do you think that shaped you?
I think when I was younger, you were, well, actually, on an RAF base, you used to get this list,
Yeah.
and it would say, you know, the parents' names, and then it would say the kids, and it was like Ellen and Steve and my brother, and the ages, and like 8 and 10 or whatever, and you'd look down the list for somebody your own age, and then I was made to ring them and go, hi, does
can I be your
Katie
friend?
want to come and play, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
And so I learnt, like, to sort of network, I guess, from a young age, although, you know. And then I ran my own business, and so that whole networking thing throughout my life has transformed where I've got to now, just networking my way through Parliament and
It's
all the
become
rest.
very important and made great changes. You also, I feel like, throughout your life were slightly underestimated. I'm thinking about sort of education, what you were doing, and you were doing engineering, and people were like, it's not a girl's thing.
Well, so I was at boarding school, and I was always
Yeah.
told you weren't university material, you're never going to succeed in life, which is always really great to tell a child.
Yeah,
And they didn't diagnose that I was dyslexic until I was 15.
It's the same as me.
Oh, really?
I had the same thing.
And so everybody just thought I was stupid. And so I ended up leaving school at 16, and I thought, well, I'll do my two favourite subjects, maths and physics. So I went and did mechanical engineering, which everybody said, well, you're a girl, you're never going to succeed. And I think at that point I stuck 2 fingers up to the world and
Yeah, I
went,
bet.
watch me.
Yeah, exactly. It gives you that grit and determination. What was consistent was that you had a brilliant mum and dad who were very loving and very supportive.
Yep. They always said to me, if as long as you've tried your hardest at something, that's all I ever asked for, which I used to then use with Jools, because if children are pushed to just try their best and nothing more than their best, you can't do any more than that.
No.
And they were very loving, very supportive parents.
Very good advice from them.
Yeah.
Can we talk about Jools' dad? Because you met when you were teenagers the first time. It was quite an unusual way you met, actually, and then what happened?
So actually, I was at a party at his house, and I was 17, and I came out the downstairs toilet and said, why have you got a picture of my dad in your downstairs loo?
So mad.
And there was this RAF squadron picture, and we were both like staring at it going, oh, our parents must know each other, they're in the same picture.
Yeah.
And it turned out we'd actually been on the same RAF base when we were 8, and our parents had known each other then, and we didn't know each other. We may well have done, there was a swimming pool back then, so we were probably, you know, a sliding doors moment.
Yeah, it really was.
Not friends. And then, so we were friends when I was 17 to 26, just really good friends throughout our whole, probably drinking too much on clubbing days.
As you do.
And then we ended up meeting up a couple of years later, got married, had Jools, and then realised actually we were much better as friends.
Okay.
So I ended up getting divorced when Jools was 3, but have remained best of friends.
Well, that's really important, because I think also when we're going to carry on telling this story, people are going to look for points in your story to go, oh, well, that's where it went wrong. Well, that's where it went wrong. So I think it's good to kind of set and go, actually, you and your ex-husband were really grown up about it, and the most important thing, the priority, was Jools, and you can navigate divorce in a really sensible way, and that is probably the perfect way to describe how you both were.
I think if I see so many people get divorced and use the children as pawns in between that, or they argue about money. We didn't use divorce lawyers, we split everything down the middle, we went our own way, and we then put Jools as our priority. And he was round on Sunday for a barbecue. We're still the best of friends.
Still very good friends. Okay, so let's talk about Jools, because I think it's really important to get to know who he was and what type of boy he was. So describe him for me.
Jools was the most beautiful, polite, happy boy. He was bright. I always wondered if he'd have my dyslexia, and he didn't. I used to ask him how to spell things.
All 3 kids, my 3 kids are all really good at spelling, which is a miracle to me, because I'm useless.
Well, I always say he gets spelling from his dad and maths from me. So he was
perfect combination.
I know. So he was bright. He was very popular, very kind. I remember a story actually. Somebody told me after he died. That there was a girl at school who had been off for the day. Everybody knew that she was depressed, and he turned up at the house with a little bag of chocolate and said, I know it's her favourite, I know she doesn't want to see anybody, but I just wanted to make her happy. And the mum told me afterwards, and I just thought, super kind.
That is really kind, because he wasn't doing that for anybody else to see, not in front of loads of people. You didn't even know about it. So, and again, people are going to be saying, well, was there something going on at school? Was he being bullied? Was there a whole separate life you didn't know about?
There was no bullying. So the police in the investigation said there was no sign of bullying, no sign of mental health. It was a complete shock to everybody.
Just a happy boy.
Just really happy. And in fact, you can see on our security cam on the last day of his life, he's saying goodbye to his friend and he's laughing because they don't want to walk down the lane, because it was where we lived, the lane's quite dark at the end, and Monty's saying, I don't like it. And they're laughing, he goes, see you later, Mont, and he walks in. And that was an hour and a half before I got home. But he, as far as everybody was concerned, happy, normal, no issues. We had the odd day where he didn't want to go to school, and I just thought, well, that was normal. I remember
kids.
I didn't want to go to school at times. And I think actually with lockdown as well, a lot of the children some of them seem to just not go in. I go, you are going in, Jools, you're not just not going in. So, but we're talking a handful of days. No, I wasn't concerned about it.
No. So let's talk about lockdown a bit, because a boy of his age, loads of kids like gaming. Like, that's not, again, this isn't like a reason for what happened. He was into gaming, but he was also, black belt in kung fu. Like, he was very active. So I feel like his life balance was as perfect as it's going to be. But obviously lockdown hit, and kids reacted different ways, and a lot of them went online, and I feel like actually that kind of accelerated everybody's online gaming, or like looking at screens, because it was really the only way that they could communicate with one another.
And he was an only child, so I used to think it was his way of interacting. I thought he must be so bored, we were all bored. But he, every time I walked into his room, he'd have somebody on some sort of FaceTiming thing, like laughing with his friends, gaming and having fun. And nobody was talking about social media harms back then. And so I didn't think there was anything wrong. I thought, well, actually, it's his way of interacting with friends, and he was having fun.
I actually remember during COVID and during lockdown, I remember people sort of going, thank God for social media, thank God. It was it was sort of seen as this sort of saviour, this way that people could interact, because really that is all you had.
I actually remember looking at TikTok and thinking, well, it's just stupid dance things, and if it's got ability for kids to have it, it's harmless. Nobody was talking like it is now, or we are now, about social media, and I wasn't aware of.
No, I don't think any of us were. So that conversation, because it comes up in every household around the country when your kids get to a certain age, when is the right time to allow them to use social media? And it wasn't just a decision you made on your own. Your group of NCT mums, you've got kids of all the same age.
We all decided secondary school seemed like the right time. So when they were going to secondary school, they were going to be walking further to a school. And so we all said, well, that probably is appropriate time for a phone. It's way too young. I wish other parents now are, not doing it quite so young, which is great. But we all decided that was a sensible age, and social media, I guess, yes, I thought silly dance things he could have younger than 13, which I shouldn't have done. If I know the dangers, oh God, you can easy to look back and say, I wish I'd known.
I know, but when you're in it, I think it's difficult because also kids are going to secondary school at that age. For safety, you almost go, right, it's a good time for them to get a phone because then I can track them and I can make sure they can call me if they get into any trouble. As soon as you've got that device in your hand, can I have TikTok? Can I have Snapchat? Can I have this? And the floodgates almost open, don't they? So
for us, the phone as well, for Matt and I, we had a Team Sweeney app. So if Matt would say, did you say Jools can stay out till 8? And I said, no, but, he should be home by 7, so he couldn't play one of us off against each other. Yeah. So those sort of things were very helpful for us.
Okay, so I'm going to talk about that day now. So this is April in 2022. And again, please just say what you feel comfortable discussing. Tell us as much or as little as you want to. But it was you that found him that day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it had been a normal day. He'd stayed at Matt's the night before. Matt dropped him off in the afternoon to go and meet some friends. He had been, and I had taken the day off work. I'd gone horse racing for the day in Cheltenham, and I had rung him throughout the day, as I always would have done. What are you doing? Who are you with? And he'd been playing football. He'd been on a little boat on a pond, being a typical boy, trying to get to the middle of the pond with a friend. He's obviously the one in the boat, whereas everybody else is on the shore trying to pull it or whatever. He would push the boundaries. And I rang in the evening and I said, have you eaten? He said, yes, there was a pizza, Mum. And then he said, we started the fire pit, Mum. I couldn't start it. I used your nail varnish remover. And I remember going, oh, God, Jools, just be careful.
Yes.
And I said, well, there's marshmallows in the cupboard. Why don't you toast those? So him and Monty had toasted the marshmallows. And then it was all fine. I'd rung and said, I'll be home in half an hour. And I wasn't. I was home in an hour. He was on his own for an hour and a half. I didn't think, he was almost 15, so I didn't actually think an hour and a half on his own was, a problem. I was babysitting back at that age. And we came home that evening, and I walked in the door and I went straight up to his room, which I always would have done, and I looked at him and went, what are you doing, Jools? And I thought he was joking. And he was hanging from a beam in his bedroom.
Oh my God, I don't know how you begin to process, how you get over things, something like that. What you do, the panic, the fear.
I honestly thought he was joking. I thought he was messing around. And then I screamed and screamed and screamed. All I could scream. Our house is on 3 floors, and it's quite an old manor house with thick walls. So I was just like, I knew you couldn't hear much. So I was screaming at the top of my voice for my partner at the time, who was downstairs. And I lifted him onto my lap, and I was trying to undo his neck, while honestly beside myself. So I got it off his neck, and my partner took it off the beam. We got an old beam.
Oh my God! It's just such. It's just so horrible. It's just so horrible. I'm just so sorry. You called. Well, there was a few things. Obviously, you rang 999 immediately because he was unconscious at this point.
Yeah.
You were giving him.
My partner started CPR, and I was on the phone going, "He's not breathing. He's not breathing. Get here now. He's not breathing." And then there was a moment while we were giving CPR that we thought we got his breath back because he went, and it was actually just from pushing on him so hard. And I just blew as much air into his body as you could possibly get out of my lungs. And then he threw up in my hair, but we never got his breath back. The fire brigade got there first, 20 minutes later. And then I just remember people everywhere. And they were trying to take me out of his room, and I was like, I'm not leaving my baby. No. And all I could do is hold the last bit of his leg. There were just paramedics and I don't know, just people everywhere.
Well, they worked on him for 20 minutes until they realised that there was nothing more that could be done. And
they took us into the hallway and said, we have to stop. Even if we brought him back now, he'd be brain dead. And Matt and I went, okay. It was just because I think we sort of knew that it wasn't, because by that time Matt had got there.
You just, in such a short space of time, your whole life just turned on itself.
oh my God, we were then sitting there where they're taking all the tubes and moving out the room, and everybody's just walking past you. Matt and I are sitting either side of this body going, what the hell has just happened? What, you couldn't even process it. And then we had this awful policeman that came and sat on Jools' bed and went, where'd you put the rope? And I went, well, I don't know where I put it. He went, well, you must remember, did you put it on the bed or did you put it on the floor? And I went, I don't know. And and I couldn't remember. And I know they've got to question me to make sure.
They're trying to do their job, but still there's under the circumstances.
And, you know, but I kept saying, well, it was his dressing gown belt and I don't know where I put it. And then we had to get in the ambulance with his body and go to the ambulance. We were just sat there sitting going, you look like you need to sit up. The whole thing was horrific.
And so you must be thinking to yourself, I'm in the middle of this horrible horror movie. I don't understand what's going on. At some moment I'm going to wake up and this is all going to be a dream. Unfortunately, this is absolutely the reality of what's going on. You must be thinking, what has happened here? How has this happened? How quickly did you start to go, it's got something to do with social media? What was he doing in the lead up to this? What was he looking at online?
My first thought was, what have you taken? I knew Monty was there. You know, have you experimented with drugs or alcohol?
Right.
And when the paramedics took over, I rang Monty's parents and said, I don't care what you've taken, tell me what you've taken. And they were like, we haven't. And in the toxicology report later on, I mean, there was nothing in his body, no alcohol or drugs. But my first thought was, something must have made you do something strange. And then when we were sitting alongside his body being interviewed, I said, take his phone, use facial recognition while his body's still here. I want to know what's on that phone.
Because you didn't have the PIN code to his phone, so you couldn't open it yourself, or you weren't allowed to touch the phone?
I wasn't allowed to touch it. And I said, you do it, use facial recognition, because it was an iPhone with facial recognition. I said, just set yourself a PIN so you can get back into it.
And did they do that?
No, they refused. They said, no, we're not tampering with it. And I said, you do it, pick up the phone and do it now. I want to know what's on that phone. And
oh my gosh.
They refused.
And you're not allowed to do that? You're not at that point, because it's an investigation, I guess, you're not allowed to do it, to step in and do it yourself?
Yeah, so they took the phone.
Completely out of control of all of this?
The whole thing, you are, I cannot explain how you're walking, like not even functioning. And that's before you actually then get home from the hospital and you have to, like, you're barely breathing. I remember crawling up the stairs on my hands and knees when we got back. I just couldn't.
I don't know how you function.
Like everything was, people put some food in front of me and saying eat. Like the whole thought of eating, I just lost my world.
So when did you first hear of the Blackout Challenge? Because obviously none of us know what happened, and this is the whole point of this story, is that you would love to know factually what has happened. So now we're just trying to piece this puzzle together to try and find out what happened that day, because we know he hasn't taken his own life. We know that. You know that. You're his mother. You know that. Something led him to do this, and at the time there was this Blackout Challenge. So I'm just gonna, for people that may be hearing this for the first time, the Blackout Challenge is a dangerous internet trend where participants intentionally restrict oxygen to their brains and induce temporary loss of consciousness, sometimes using household items around the neck. The trend gained widespread notoriety around 2021 and circulating on platforms like TikTok and Discord. What also isn't helpful is that the algorithms on these platforms accelerated the spread of this challenge to young adults in particular. So do you know that his friends were looking at this sort of content? Have you heard that this in particular is something he might have looked at?
No, I don't know. At the time, I now know 6 days before Jools' accident, another little boy, Archie Battersby, had done the same thing.
I met his mother at the time. Yeah.
So, and Holly was all over, the mum, all over the news, like trying to keep her son on a life support machine.
That's right, yeah.
And everybody kept saying to me, could it be the same thing? And I couldn't bring myself to watch the news. It was so horrific, and it's so similar. And
triggering.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I said to the police, I've heard about this little boy, Archie Battersby, could it be the same thing? And she actually said to me, the detective said, yes, it could be, but we can't prove it. And I said, well, we need to find out.
Yeah.
You know, how do we get that information? At the time, they couldn't get into Jools' phone, and it was actually a while later that Monty said, try spelling out his name in numbers, and they got into his phone.
And this is the police that got into his phone. So they did like a forensic download.
They didn't tell me, well, they did do a forensic download actually then, but they didn't bother looking at it because the machine wasn't working. So the detective said, I'm going to manually look through it. And she said, I don't even know how I use TikTok. And at the time, I mean, if somebody said that to me now, I would have been like, what the hell? You know, no, but
Because it's so important.
But I wasn't functioning. I just couldn't, I just assumed the police would do their job properly.
Yeah.
And they didn't.
There was an inquest. Usually anything surrounding a child, the death of a child, unexpected circumstances would last days.
23 minutes.
23 minutes, his inquest. And you were told, we can't be certain he's in a suicidal mood, so it just says on his death certificate, death by ligature suspension.
Yep.
So it's very open-ended.
Yep.
There's no answers there.
There was nobody in the court, apart from me, my partner at the time, and Matt was his dad. There was no police.
And none of that forensic download was looked at?
Nope. Well, they said, what did they say in the police report? They said they'd looked through it, there was nothing to find on his phone. What I now know is on the phone, the information goes between 30 to 90 days, depending on the platform.
When you say goes, sorry, what do you mean?
So the information that that he's looked at and things like that, it is not stored on the phone at that time.
Oh, I see.
So you need the data from the social media companies. So by the time they looked at the phone, they wouldn't have been able to see what algorithmic data was fed to him. They wouldn't have been able to see anything. They didn't actually uncover that he had multiple TikTok accounts, or Instagram accounts. And I initially panicked when I found that out 3 years later.
Why did you panic?
Because I thought, what's he hiding? Why is he doing that? And I spoke to some other parents of mine, and they asked their kids, they went, oh, they've all got them. They forget their password and set up another one. Or they've got one that the parents see and not the other one. And but initially, my first thing was, what's he hiding?
Well, probably because you're so desperate for an answer, and you're probably thinking, what did I... And I'm not saying this, but I imagine as a parent, you're going, what did I do wrong? What did I miss?
You go through every single possible scenario.
Yeah. So having such an open-ended cause of death on his death certificate from the coroner, what are you meant to do with that? Are you meant to just expected to live your life with a really open-ended question?
There you go. Like, your child's died, off you go and like live the rest of your life.
If you'd have had, and I don't know how these things work, but if you'd have had a lawyer at the inquest, would that have helped?
Possibly. Nobody told us to get a lawyer. I didn't get a lawyer because I didn't think, well, what do I need a lawyer for? I haven't done anything wrong. Surely the police are going to do the investigation, the inquest. It didn't cross our mind to get a lawyer. We're supposed to get an inquest pre-pack, apparently, at the beginning, before you go to the inquest, with all the summary, the police report, everything. We never got that. So
there's so many things that just weren't right, weren't there?
So when we turned up at the inquest, we went, well, we don't really know what we're doing here. Well, I guess we get told what happened.
Yeah.
And then when we walked out, I just thought, now what do we do? Like, how do you go back to life? And we don't have other children. My whole world had just collapsed.
So let's talk about that then, because this impacts you, his father, your parents, all of his friends. Everybody, anybody that came into contact with him, this is going to have a huge impact on. What toll did it take on you?
I was drinking an awful lot of alcohol, which Matt and I both did. We
self-medicate.
Well, that's what the doctor, Matt's doctor actually said that to him about it was self-medication. It's just you're desperately trying to numb the pain.
Something, yeah.
You can't, the minute your eyes are open, you know, I either was having a lot of flashbacks, I struggled with PTSD, so it would take me straight back in the room of seeing Jools hanging. I would struggle with that a lot. You don't sleep, you barely, the doctor prescribes you sleeping tablets and diazepam and stuff, but it doesn't touch the sides. The minute you're awake, you just are consumed with this grief. And so Matt and I did turn to alcohol, drank an awful lot. 3 months after Jools died, I walked up the hill screaming at the top of my lungs, saying, "Where are you, Jools?" You're like just beside myself. And then I fell. I was wearing his flip-flops, and I fell down the hill and broke my wrist. And then my battery was dead on my phone, so I got up and was like, "Come on, Jools, get me home." And I fell again, slid down this big ravine, and lay there thinking, didn't break my neck, sort of wanted to.
Oh my God.
I was incredibly suicidal. I didn't admit that at the time.
Yeah.
I was very suicidal.
I can't, it's not the natural order of life, is it, to lose a child ever? But under those circumstances, so tragically like that.
I lost everything.
You lost everything.
I didn't, and so when I was actually I was at the bottom of this hill, this ravine, and I went, oh, help. Somebody help me. And 3 individual nurses found me. And then they had to get a fire brigade in to chop the trees down to get me out. And then they got me a 4-wheel Jeep to get me down to the ambulance. I was like, just put me on a stretcher and give me a push, see where I end up. I don't give a damn. And got me to A&E, and then they said, there's a big queue. And this nurse knocked on the door at A&E, it's on the ambulance door, and she opened the door and they said, do you remember me? She went, I looked after Jools the night he died. You've had enough shit, let's get you in.
Wow. Do you believe in signs like that?
I don't know what I believe, but it was a moment.
That's a good one, that one, I feel like.
Yeah, I think...
I think you wouldn't have listened to anyone else apart from someone like her at that point, don't you think?
That's true. Yeah, that's very
true. I don't
true.
think anyone else could have said anything you'd have listened to.
No, I didn't care. But yeah, I guess, I haven't really thought of it like that, I guess.
Yeah, well...
But I did notice at that point 2 different types of pain. The crying with physical pain and the crying from the loss of a child.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I didn't give a damn about my arm, my leg. You know, it was a dislocated and broken ankle, broken wrist.
Well, you can fix that.
That's exactly what I thought.
Yeah.
That you can fix that. You cannot fix the massive hole inside of me.
Never. So the only thing you have, the only driver in life is finding answers, I guess. You have to hitch your wagon to something. And yours was, I'm going to find answer. I'm going to use all these skills of resilience and networking and everything because I can do that. And I can give it my best shot. And that's what you did. You reached out to the social media platforms because, as you said, actually, they're the ones who've got everything because everything else gets wiped after 30, 90 days. What sort of response did you get from them?
No, without a court order.
Straight away?
Without a court order, you cannot get browsing history and messages. And I said, but I'm his mum. You know, I can see his medical records, I can see his doctor's records. If it was a diary in his bedroom, I could read it. But you're telling me I can't see what was showed to him on a phone.
And why do you think that's their policy?
Well, apparently you've got no legal right to see it. And at 13, they sign over their data when they sign up to a contract, which of course all children read, that TikTok owns that data, or Instagram or whoever. Which is ridiculous.
So the door shut on that. There was no way getting through. They were talking about court orders and moving things slightly differently. So you were like, right, well, I'm going to keep going and I need to go to Parliament and I need to speak to people that have got some power and can make some of these changes. And this is where Jools Law was born. So at the time, again, you're living, you're learning, other parents are talking to you and actually speaking to other parents of bereaved children, you had to adapt that. So initially it was the case that all of this information had to be given by social media companies to the parents.
Yes.
And that had to change. Why did that have to change?
Well, somebody actually said to me, what if the parents are the perpetrators? And it hadn't actually crossed my mind.
No, it wouldn't have occurred to me.
Didn't cross my mind. I thought, well, all parents want the data and obviously they want to protect their child. And if their child dies or something, they should have the right to see it. It didn't crossed my mind that actually what if the parents could use that information and somehow protect themselves or they were abusing the child and so I changed it as I went along and said, okay, so long as it goes to the coroner or the police, you know, and somebody looks at it, and actually I then found out that as a parent, if you're not the perpetrator, as a person of interest, you can probably then see that data through the coroner.
Okay.
But I didn't, as long as somebody looked at it, that's what I wanted.
Someone had it. It took you 2 years of bringing all those networking skills to work. What was sort of the reaction initially, and how hard was it to keep the momentum going with it?
Well, when I first started campaigning, somebody had sent me a letter to have a debate in Parliament. You had to get to 100,000 signatures, and you get a response at 10,000. And another charity had shown me their response at 10,000, and it wasn't word of this, but it was basically, thanks for trying, but you didn't quite do well enough. Okay. And I remember saying to a friend of mine, we're doing 100,000 signatures. Yeah. And she went, should we aim for 10 first of all? And I was like, no, we're doing 100. Yeah. And then my mum, bless her, she said, you've only got 10 days or something, Ellen, that because of the government elections it's closing early. I was like, no, Mum, you're wrong. And I looked at it and went, we've got 10 days to get 100,000 signatures. And
pressure.
Yeah, so I did it was actually my birthday, so it was 21st of May, so it was 9 days before it finished on the 30th. And I did a little post that said, please, for my one birthday wish, please will you sign my petition? And it went viral, and I met this lovely lady, Grace, who made these videos for me, just me talking to camera with what happened to Jools and saying, please could you sign it? And it was going crazy. It was just like everybody was signing it, sharing it. And then actually on the 30th, we actually finished on 126,033 signatures.
That's incredible. But I think the reason why it went viral and you had that was because for all parents out there, I think that, and I'm like speaking on my own behalf with this as well, it's such a scary thing, social media, and you want to protect your kids. And the fear is that something like what happened to you will happen to your own child, and it doesn't bear thinking about. Like, you just don't. So I think it really is, I think people want to get on board because they want to do something and they want to see change. They want to protect their kids. Yeah. Everybody wants to protect their kids.
And I think ultimately, you know, I'm a parent that doesn't know why my child's not alive.
Yeah.
I can't live the rest of my life not knowing why he's not alive. It doesn't make sense.
Okay, so success. The campaign was written into the Crime and Policing Act through Baroness Beban Kidron. So Jools law requires online platforms to preserve a child's data within 5 days of their death being reported. So it may be a request by the coroner or Ofcom. This has now been written into the Crime and Policing Bill. An incredible success. I mean, this protects children, parents going forward. It didn't help you though in your own circumstance.
It doesn't.
So explain why.
So this now means that when a child dies, within 5 days, that data has to be preserved. So the coroner goes to Ofcom, Ofcom goes to the social media companies and preserves it so that they can't delete it. It would be a criminal offence for them to delete it. But that's only for children that have died since this became law, which was April. So for myself, and I was talking to another parent yesterday who's having the same issue. They can't get the coroner at the moment because their child died before this law came into account. They can't get the coroner to request the information. They're going, yeah, well, we'll request it at some point. And you're going, so I was saying to those parents, you know, that data could go. They could delete it. They could remove it. And
it's in their interest to delete it, let's be honest.
Exactly. And in fact, actually, when you look at Jools' phone, you can see on TikTok that there's loads of videos that have been deleted.
By who?
Well, either the person that puts the video up, if they decide they want to take it down, but it's more in the telling that the amount have been removed has got to be that TikTok have removed it, so they think it's harmful. So it's more telling that the amount of data that's been removed. So I am suing in TikTok in the States, and the lawyer that is out there is the same lawyer that won against Meta in LA. And she said, well, hopefully if we get to the next stage, it's discovery, where TikTok will have to release data to us. But it's more telling that I think there's so many videos that have been removed.
Gosh, that really is, because then they know. I mean, if it is them doing it, they know that it's dangerous material that shouldn't be there or incriminating.
Well, I had a very, very senior person in Parliament say to me, you know why they're not releasing the data to you, Ellen. They know they've got harmful data on their platform. And it's very hard being told that as a parent from somebody very senior in government that that's the reason. I know that's the reason. I'm going to prove it at some point.
And so if somebody very senior in government knows that, why are they not doing more? Because at the moment, your story is like the ultimate David and Goliath story. There's just you against tech, big tech, globally. But there is someone in Parliament, you know, they are the only power that we can go to.
I know, which is why I then got involved with Raising the Age campaign, because I just thought this is fundamentally wrong. We've got children, we know that they are seeing, apparently most 14 to 15-year-olds, 50% of them have seen a beheading. Like, I haven't seen a beheading, but
I haven't.
I don't want my child, well, I don't want children to see it.
No, definitely. There are some things your brain's just not meant to, like, see.
And adults' feed is very different. So, but it works in the same way. I was looking at salads last year because I wanted a pomegranate salad, and then all of a sudden my feed started on Instagram, started sending me diet recipes or diet things. I was like, I don't actually want a diet. I was just looking for a nice salad. And that's exactly the same. But when children look at something and then it starts feeding them other things.
Well, let's. I'm going to flick forward. You met with our old Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, earlier this year, and this was other families, and this was for this total social media ban. Now, we've seen this in Australia. When I first saw you doing this, I thought, wow, they'll really have to go some to get this pushed through, and I wasn't sure that they would go for it. And I was relieved, but also quite amazed that it went through.
Well, it passed I think it was 4 times in the House of Lords. So we were sitting in the Lords so each time, then it would go back to the Commons and fail. And then we really were quite firm that we wanted the Prime Minister to hear from the bereaved parents.
Yeah, good.
And we campaigned hard on that, and eventually he arranged a meeting, and we said...
Which did take a while. Because it took a few times to get that through.
Yeah. And then, but we all discussed beforehand, we were going to go in on a mission of we are going to be direct, we're not going to hold back. Because when you go on the news and things, you can't talk about how your child died, because apparently people can copy and things like that. So it's very clipped about, you know, I found Jools not breathing. And actually, we were all very direct, this is what we think, this is why we think it, and that sort of thing. So we were quite firm with him, but we left.
What was his reaction when you told him those stories?
Actually, we left going, well, did he take that on board? There wasn't really a reaction.
Right.
So we just walked out to a wall of press on Downing Street, which the press had been told we were going to give a statement. We hadn't been told that. So we all walked out and went, is one of us talking? But when you put all of us together, we're stronger together in numbers. And we're all very supportive of every situation. You know, anniversaries are hard, Father's Days, Mother's Days, Christmas, birthdays. And it's nothing like another bereaved parent to actually understand how hard it is.
Sometimes, as people, we don't really want to look at into the dark corners because it's too much. How can you bear that?
Yeah.
How can you hold that pain?
I always said I wanted to make something positive out of the loss of Jools' death.
Yeah.
And I'm going to make a difference, you know.
Well, you are, and you have. You know, there are going to be those people that will say, okay, ban social media, but all that's going to do is push our children into corners of the internet that, you know, you might think we've got the Wild West now, but you can't imagine what's out there. What then? What do we do then?
Well, I think if you look at anything, we don't not regulate because, you know, something else. For example, alcohol.
Yeah.
You know, alcohol's regulated at 18. There will be children that get alcohol before that. And again, the smoking, seatbelts in cars we regulate to protect people, but there'll still be crashes and there will still be people dying.
Of course, yeah.
But by regulating social media, I don't believe it will push people into the darker web. I think also we look like we are going to do it more strongly than Australia. So we need highly effective age controls, so we know what ages the children are on the platform. They don't have that in Australia. So hopefully the government's going to take and learn from Australia and other countries that are doing it and actually put something in place to protect children. But yeah, you know, they will always find a way around things, or some people will.
And do you think that that social media ban has put a dent in these big social media companies? Do you reckon they'll feel that?
Well, apparently, I was reading somewhere that something like one of the social media sites has lost 1 billion in revenue because of the advertising, because they won't be targeting to children anymore.
Well, they will feel the financial
Correct.
loss, won't they? That's what they will feel.
Yeah, which is actually one of the hardest things we find as bereaved parents. We are suing in US, and one of the hardest things for that is putting an amount of money on your child's life. And actually, if you read some of the comments on social media posts, well, the parents are only doing it for money. There's no amount of money you could give me to make this okay. I don't give a damn about the money. I want to hit the companies. But people actually say that to us. But the only thing, it was the lawyer that said the only thing that will hurt those companies is financially. And so financially, by suing them, if we can hold them accountable, that's all they care about, their profit. But the parents are not doing it for money.
So this lawsuit in America, this will be a landmark American lawsuit against TikTok and its parent company, ByteDance. So what is it that you're actually hoping for here? What change will this make?
So this, we have accused them that they have fed our children harmful material.
Okay.
So we had a motion to dismiss hearing in January where they were trying to kick us out of LA, not in LA, we're Delaware. And so we're waiting to hear. We should apparently hear by next month. And if we get to the next stage, it's called discovery stage, where they have to release information on the date.
And how hopeful are you that it won't be thrown out, that you'll actually get to have that moment?
The lawyers are looking quite hopeful.
Really? Once they release that information, are you prepared for what that might show?
No, probably not. I don't know. I mean, was it some sort of challenge? Was it some sort of blackmail? Was it... I don't know. You know, I want to see. And if they'd actually cared, social media companies could say, here you go, bereaved parent, have the data, I hope you get some answers. And they have chosen not to. So, you know, they said, well, I remember sitting in Parliament with them, and I had TikTok, Meta and Snapchat in the room, and I said, why don't you just give me the data? And they said, we might get sued for breach of data protection. And the MPs in the room just went, pay the fine. You wouldn't even notice the fine.
Yeah.
And they said, well, we can't release it. Now, they could if they wanted to. They could actually help. They could release it to the police, couldn't they?
They could easily.
Yeah. And I'm not the only parent. There are many of us in this situation that are desperate for answers. Or the police didn't bother looking at the phones, or the police lost a SIM card, or actually, there's been parents that have been handed the phone back from the police and said, you're not priority. Can you imagine being told that the death of your child is not priority?
I can't even believe those words were uttered in a situation like that.
Not just once, it's happened lots.
It feels like the whole system needs looking at around this, because this isn't going away. I mean, ultimately, we hope it does go away, but at the moment, if things stay like this, these situations are going to keep happening.
Well, because I've raised this, there's actually a lovely ex-police man that contacted me, and he has put it forward that the College of Policing training guidance is changing because of this. Because actually, when a child dies, it's what's called a SUDAC, and it was set up from cot deaths when a child died in a cot, and how to investigate it. There is no training in the training guidance about social media, looking at harmful social media or any of that. It just doesn't cover teenagers dying or taking their own life. And so the police training guidance is changing because of Jools' death and me making an issue of it.
Which is another positive thing. Are tech companies able to protect our children even way before any of this? Like, can they stop harmful content going into your children's phone? Could they do it straight away, like start at the real root of the problem?
Well, if you think about it now, it's quite difficult apparently to find the blackout challenge on those social media platforms because they've blocked it. But the biggest problem they've got at the moment is that they don't know the ages of the children on the platforms. So they're coming out with all this publication about how teens' accounts are really protective and there's these things. But the teens have just gone in and said, yes, I'm 20. So actually, who is a teenager on your platform? Or we've got 10-year-olds saying, yes, I'm 13 or whatever. So they've got to do more about what age. Now, they could have put that in place already. There's software that's happening in other countries that are doing that. If they've chosen to, they're not choosing to do it until they're made to do it.
Yeah.
And that's where I find it frustrating.
So you've got the lawsuit in America, but let's come back home again, because obviously we mentioned when Jools' law was passed that wasn't able to help you.
Yep.
But there is something you are doing and you're hoping for that might make a big difference.
You're doing very well on this, because my parents even get confused about which bit are you doing, Ellen, or where are you?
Well, you have got a lot going on, but all of them in their own little elements are so important to this story. So
in the UK, the only way I can use or get the data from the social media companies is by redoing his inquest, which I was told was going to be £86,000.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, isn't that crazy? I want to know what happened to my child.
Yeah.
And
so what do you do in that situation? Because majority of people, it's like you haven't just got £86,000. I know you've also, work-wise, you've slowed down so you can carry on.
I sold the business.
You sold the business. It's like you're not really in a position to do that, but you want answers. So what if you can't afford it? You don't know. You never find out.
Well, when I say I sold my business as well, I'd stepped out of my business the day Jools died, so it was struggling to cope. And 2 years later, I was trying to run a business, sell the business, and it wasn't doing that well. So I didn't sell it for loads of money as if, well, I've made loads, I could just pay for it. But loads of people kept offering me help and saying, can we, crowdfund? And I hated doing that. People would say, would you share it? And I felt like I was begging. But honestly, people have been so generous. Strangers just gifting me £1,000 and things.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Which I used to pay for a private investigation company. I met a lovely police officer, ex-police, who said, who's helping you with the police? And I said, nobody, I'm trying to figure it out myself. And he said, let me help you.
Amazing.
And anyway, I eventually had a barrister that contacted me and said, I'll act pro bono for you at the High Court, which was just like, really?
Can we name him? Because I feel like he's a really good person. I have it written down, but you all know him.
Harry Lambert from 1 Temple Chambers. And so he's the barrister.
Yeah, good for him.
And then, because initially I just thought, I'm going to Erin Brockovich style it. I'm going to rock up, I'm going to represent myself.
Well, if anyone can, you can. I mean, you are pretty incredible, by the way.
I mean, that was my plan. It was a bit bizarre though, wasn't it? So I think I could just go to the High Court and represent myself, but
I have no doubt you'd have been able to do it, but thankfully Harry's there, so that's good.
And then when we were ready to serve, we had to serve the papers on TikTok because of the lawsuit in America and the coroner. And Harry said, right, we need a solicitor to do that. And I was like, oh, okay, right, because the barrister can't serve the paperwork. And then that's when Gary Miller from Mishkondareya stepped up and offered to act pro bono for me as well. So he's now taken over, so we've got a lawyer and a barrister. We served the papers on TikTok and the coroner to say we are going to the High Court to redo the inquest, and both of them have come back and not defending it, which means we should just sail through with a new inquest. And then I will be the first British parent ever to redo a child's inquest over social media data.
And does that then set precedent for other...
Absolutely.
Oh my God, that's...
So the other parents are all like, oh my God, you've got to get this through, because then it sets precedents for them to do the same thing.
That is amazing. I'm also deeply concerned for you, though. I feel like the fight has been getting this. Mm-hmm. You're now going to get all these answers.
Hopefully.
And I'm worried how they're going to sit with you. And whether, because I feel like you're not really thinking about yourself at all about any of this. You've been in survival mode, fight mode.
Mm-hmm. But I think
you're suddenly going to get these answers, and for the first time, probably since all of this stuff, you might have to think about that a little bit.
I know. And actually, everybody in my life all keeps saying, you know, that worrying about my mental health and taking on too much and what am I going to do? And I said, it's actually when I end this, what next? Because what's my life? I don't have a life anymore. My life completely revolves around making the internet safety for children or getting answers for Jools. What happens at the end? I don't know.
I think you just need to take everything one day at a time, don't you think?
That's what my dad says to me often, or my mum. Both of them say something will come around the corner.
I think when the answer's too big, when like the question is too big and you can't see the answer, you just have to wait. Wait and see one day.
I can't plan, can I? What is my life going to be like in 2 years, 3 years? I don't know. So I very much am, I take her every day. I try to do the right thing. I try to, I don't know. Somebody told me a lovely expression once. The only time you should ever look down at somebody is when you're helping them up.
Yeah.
And it really resonated with me. I thought it was lovely. And I think just if I can do anything to help anybody or try and make some good out of this, I think that's, I don't know. We'll see where my future is in a few years' time.
Yeah. Let's talk about some of the good stuff, because as you've said, there's been some really frustratingly unhelpful people along the way, but there's been some great people. You know, you've had hugs in the street. There's this incredible Swedish schools. Tell me about what they're doing, because you're sort of part of the education system.
Well, I got this email. I get emails from all over the world, and this person said they were learning about Jools in their science lesson in Sweden or something. And I was like, really? Because they were talking about internet safety. I was walking through Paddington the other day, and this person stopped me and said, you don't know me, I know who you are. Can I give you a hug? She went, I just want to say thank you for all you're doing. And it just feels very bizarre. And then coming out of Westminster the other day, Westminster Tube Station, somebody said, you on the news this morning, I know exactly what you've been doing. And all these messages of support, which is, I mean, it's so kind, but I do feel like a fraud. I was just one mum that stood up and went, this is wrong. It's fundamentally wrong.
You're definitely not a fraud. I mean, I can confirm that. That is not true. I mean, you've already made so many changes, and by what we've been talking about here, there are so many more to come that are going to save lives, save children's lives. I mean, that's very powerful and incredible. You're also part of a bereavement network as well, where you talk to other parents who are going through maybe not similar circumstances, but having lost a child. I read that and I just thought, wow, that really is amazing, because I don't know if I'd have space in my heart. I'd like to think I could, but I think it would be so triggering also. And yet you're doing that. How are you doing that?
I don't really know. I got phoned a few months back by a lady who said, I've been following your story. And she said, and last night my son took his life. Can I speak to you?
Wow.
And I thought, oh my gosh, I don't know if I can handle that, because I remember the rawness of the grief. And I thought, I don't know if I can do that. And I was talking to somebody and they said, can't you refer them to a charity or something? I went, well, I don't know who I'd refer them to, and they need my help. So I did take that call, and it was incredibly hard, but I just thought she needed my help. And hearing the pain in her voice took me straight back to the rawness of that. But I don't know, I had to do it.
Just felt compelled to do it.
Yeah, I couldn't. Can you imagine me saying no? Sorry, I'm a bit busy.
I understand.
I had to. Yeah.
And then, obviously, for all of your good work and everything that you've been campaigning for, it has been recognised, and we should say a big congratulations, and quite right so. Earlier this year, you were awarded an MBE for services to children's safety. Prince William gave you your MBE?
Yeah, it was very bizarre. I got this letter through the press. Really?
Yeah.
Well, I really do feel like...
I can't believe you're actually shocked about that. Like, of all the MBEs I've ever heard of, I feel like yours is actually the most legitimate of all of them.
I just felt like I don't know. All I did was say this is wrong and we need to do something about it.
Yeah, but loads of people wouldn't do that, or wouldn't have the strength to do that, or the fight, or the self-belief.
Yeah. I mean, you know, going back to Jools' dad, Matt, he can't even watch me on the news. He said it's too triggering for him. Yeah. Massively supportive and sends me messages all the time and says, you know, well done, keep going, or amazing news. But he can't bring himself to talk about Jools or watch me talk about Jools.
Everybody's so different, aren't they? They all deal with it in their different ways.
And grief is very personal. And bearing in mind we're grieving the same child, you know, his grief is different to mine. But it doesn't make one right or wrong. We all grieve differently, and it's however you deal with it. For me, it's just been this fire in my belly to go, right, come on world, I'm taking you on. And you say about David and Goliath, you know, I've got nothing to lose. I've lost everything in my world. So I don't give a damn about the social media companies. You know, you can't hurt me anymore. There's nothing more you can do to hurt me. So, because I was warned about this, they're going to potentially try and make me look like the worst parent ever. They're going to try and dig up anything in my past, you know, I was drunk on an occasion as a parent or whatever. And do you know what? I'm going to own it because, yes, I was a parent and probably had too much to drink at a party once, you know, or whatever it may be.
And you're a mum, and we're all exactly the same. But what they cannot ever take away from you is how much you love your child. And actually, as a parent, that's the only consistent thing you need to have, is to ultimately love them. And you are showing that love by fighting for him every day.
And all the other children that we can still save.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well done, you.
Thank you.
Just in all of it, well done. Prince William said something to you, didn't he, when he gave you his MB? What did he say?
If I can help in any way, let me know. And I haven't figured out what I need his help for yet.
Keep that one on the back burner.
It's up my sleeve for when I go, right, actually you offered, now can you,
now's the time.
But not yet.
I can totally understand why. You've got so much support. A few people I think we should mention as well. Charmaine, your best friend, who's been a massive rock for you, hasn't she? How has important those friendships been?
Oh, I mean, I've got so many very supportive friends, but Claire and Charmaine have been ones that, you know, they sometimes rung me every hour, you know, who turned up as soon as they could after Jools died. But Charmaine in particular, you know, sometimes it would be just say, just get through the next 10 minutes, Ellen. And in the early days, it is just getting through. You can't even think about getting through to lunchtime. It's getting through the next hour or whatever. And I still have days which are really low, and we have a Purple Heart, which basically says, back off world, I just need to do my own thing. And I can't even bring myself to necessarily talk. You know,
but also means you're safe too.
Yes, it does. Yes, I'm okay, just I need my own space.
It's a good system.
And then eventually I'll get a Purple Heart back, or I'll start going, yeah, I'm all right. Or I'll sob down the phone and say, I don't want my life. She went, I know you don't, but you've got some stuff to do. So, you know, because and that confuses people. Saying you don't want your life does not mean you're suicidal. It just means I wouldn't choose one part of this life for me.
Of course not.
But I've got things I need to do, and I'm going to do it.
Friends have come from unexpected places. I know Lauren Cowell reached out to you, and I think at first you were a bit bamboozled by it.
I ignored her.
Did you?
So she contacted me and said, how can I help, on Instagram, and I thought, I don't know. And I went back and said, eventually I went back and I thought, it was really nice, thanks very much, no, I don't need any help. And it was actually Matt that went, Ellen, it's Lauren and Simon Cowell, and I've also got a drama and a documentary we made about me, and they went, you know, why don't you reach out? So I went, oh, yeah, maybe I should. So I then reached out, and then we just get on really well. We actually just laugh a lot.
So you mentioned there's a documentary and also the sort of drama of your life.
Yeah.
It's quite the tale to tell.
Well, I think, you know, I come across as very media. And the documentary team that followed me around for 18 months, they said, we need the other Ellen, you know, not the TV polished version. So when we've gone out and campaigned in America...
But I don't think you're TV polished. I think you're strong and powerful, although I imagine you say I'm not strong at all. But I can see the vulnerability in your eyes. I can see the mum of Jools all the time. So I don't... Yeah. I just think you're strong. I think you're strong inside, but I see that other side just as much.
Yeah, I guess I don't really show the broken side much. You know, the tears when I can't move, you know, I think the next bit will be the High Court, where I think, oh my gosh, I'm finally going to hopefully get answers. And I'm determined, until I have looked under every single stone, I'm not stopping for answers for Jools.
Before I let you go, what we like to do is we like to give you a letter.
Okay.
And these letters that I have here are from people that mean something to you, loved ones, friends, family. And I've got them here. And I'm going to read them to you.
I was going to say, they'll make me cry.
Oh, well.
Who are they from?
I might cry. Well, the first one is from Lauren Cowell, actually. So I'm going to read this to you, and I'm going to put my glasses on so I can actually read it and do it justice. So, Lauren says, "Dear Ellen, I was asked by Holly to write a few words about you, and for once I found myself struggling to find the right ones. Not because there aren't enough things to say, but because it's difficult to put into words what kind of person you really are and how I feel about you. Most people know your story. They know what happened. They know the unimaginable loss that changed your life forever. But what I've come to know is the person behind that story. I've come to know someone who is brave without ever needing to tell people she is brave. Someone who can walk into a room and immediately make people feel comfortable. Someone who somehow manages to be fiercely determined and incredibly kind all at the same time. What amazes me most is that despite everything you've been through, you've never allowed tragedy to define you. It would have been understandable if it had. Instead, you've chosen to turn pain into purpose and heartbreak into action. You have given a voice to countless parents and families, and in doing so, you've created change that will protect children for years to come. That is extraordinary. It's because of you that I've been inspired to use my voice and join this campaign. But beyond all of that, I wanted you to know how grateful I am for our friendship. The truth is, neither of us would ever have chosen the circumstances that brought us together. Yet somehow, through one of life's cruelest twists, I've gained a friend whose strength, humour, wisdom and warmth I treasure enormously. There was never any awkwardness or pretense. We could simply be ourselves. We've told each other things that are so personal and so embarrassingly funny that I'm actually laughing as I write this now, thinking about some of them. There is something incredibly special about a friendship that asks nothing of you except that you show up exactly as you are. You've made me laugh when I needed it the most. You've inspired me more times than you know. You've reminded me that courage isn't always loud. Sometimes it's simply getting up every day and continuing to fight for what matters. I'm so proud of everything you've achieved, but even more that I'm proud of who you are. You're one of those rare people whose impact reaches far beyond the rooms you walk into. Most importantly, you make a difference. So thank you. Thank you for your friendship, your honesty, your courage, and your unwavering determination to make the world safer for our children. You are remarkable, Ellen, not because of what happened to you, but because of what you've chosen to do afterwards. And through all of this, I hope you know something else. I have no doubt whatsoever that Jools is looking down on you with the biggest smile on his face, bursting with pride at everything you've done and everything you've become. Not just because of the change you've helped create, but because of the extraordinary woman and mother and friend that you are. And I imagine him thinking, that's my mum. I love you dearly, I'm endlessly proud of you, and I feel incredibly lucky to call you my friend. With all my love, Lauren. And that you can keep, because that is a very special
What a nice letter. Thank you. Yeah.
No, I hope you hear those words.
Thank you.
I hope you do.
Yeah.
And that you feel them too.
I just think if I was sitting on my bed eating dairy milk chocolate, actually.
Which is what I'm going to do straight after this chat. I think we all do that.
Yes, very kind. So
I've got one more.
Oh, gosh. You're going to tell me that's Charmaine, aren't you?
This is Charmaine. This is Charmaine, well guessed.
Oh, God. She better not have said some things than that she knows about me.
Let's find out, shall we? Okay, my dearest Ellie. I've been lucky enough to call you one of my very best friends for over 30 years. We've grown up together in so many ways, sharing weddings, holidays, celebrations, laughter, tears, and countless precious memories along the way. You are so much more than a friend to me. You are family, and I honestly cannot imagine my life without you in it. The hardest thing that we have ever faced together was the devastating loss of your beautiful son, Jools. Watching someone I love endure such unimaginable heartbreak has been incredibly difficult, and yet your strength and resilience continue to amaze me every single day. I honestly don't know where you find it, but somehow you keep doing, driven by your endless love for Jools and your determination to create something positive from the darkest of circumstances. In the days, weeks and months after Jools passed away, we spent many hours talking as you tried to make sense of a loss that no parent should ever have to experience. There are moments when the weight of your grief felt impossible to bear and you questioned how you could carry on. Yet even through all that pain, you found an extraordinary purpose. Rather than allowing grief to define you, you have channeled your energy into campaigning tirelessly for better online safety, determined to help ensure that other families never have to suffer the heartbreak that yours had endured. Just when it seemed the sadness might overwhelm you, you found the strength to stand up, fight for answers for Jools, and work to create lasting change for future generations. I honestly don't know what I'd do without you. You're one of the strongest, most determined, and most remarkable people I've ever known, and I feel incredibly fortunate to have you in my life. I'm endlessly proud of everything you have achieved and everything you continue to fight for. Your love for Jools shines through in everything you do, and the difference you are making in his name is extraordinary. I know how incredibly proud he would be of his mum. You are quite simply one of a kind. My Smelly, my hound, my Wonder Woman, with all my love, Maine. So that's another
nicknames we don't need to go into, but yeah.
Yeah, I'll leave the Smelly one with you.
It rhymes with Ellie, so
okay.
That's what it was.
It's really
innocent.
But
when you're like 20 years old or something in a bar, and they go Ellie, Smelly, and like everybody turns and looks at you. It's awful. You're just like, can we not have that nickname?
Yeah, well, it sticks. Sometimes when you have those things from childhood, they stay with you. Mine's Wally.
Oh, really?
Holly Wally.
Oh, yeah, there we go. That's as bad as Ellie Smelly, yeah.
Smelly Ellie and Holly Wally.
Yeah.
And my sister's Kelly, so she was Smelly Kelly. So that rings a bell. One of the lovely things about making this show is sharing tips and tricks that actually work, and there's no area where actual results matter more than your health. And that's exactly why Voy felt like such a natural founding partner for Together. Alongside their truly effective ongoing clinical care across weight loss, menopause, hormones, hair loss and preventative health, there's also practical support and an always-on companion app to help you make changes that stick. Because the goal isn't simply to start treatment, it's to help you feel better and achieve results that last a lifetime. So go on, you can start today. Just visit joinvoy.com/together and begin your journey to real and lasting results. That's joinvoy.com/together. We just had a little break in recording then, and obviously we're chatting and you just said something and I'd been really trying to hold it together, and that just really got me, what you just said. And this was about the video that he'd said, because you were saying that you know deep down that he'd be proud of you.
I'd like to think he is.
Of course.
It's hard because you sort of doubt everything you do and what would he think, but I'd like to think he was. And when I climbed Kilimanjaro, he'd sent this little video that said, I got it just near the top. They'd sort of sent it to us as a motivational thing, and it said, "I know you can do this, Mum. Be strong, stay brave, I love you." And I would watch that video over and over, and all the days that I really felt like I couldn't get out of bed, and I couldn't, there are days that getting out of bed is hard, and you just think, what am I getting up for? And I would watch that video and go, right, Jools, off we go. And then I'd walk past our house on 3 floors, and then so his bedroom was on the top floor. So when I was really campaigning hard, I'd walk past him on the stairs and go, come on, Jools, get out of bed. Got stuff to do, as if he's still alive. Like taking him with me.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're always with you, right?
Yeah, just wish I could see his little face.
I'm sure.
Actually, I want to hug him.
Yeah.
That's what I think if I could hug him, I'd never let him go.
So sorry.
We used to get into bed at night. It was something, actually, I don't know if we've got time for this, I'll tell you anyway.
You take all the time you want.
So when he started primary school, he was given 3 stones, a little bag, and I thought it was such a lovely idea, which I actually encourage people to do with their children.
Yeah.
So at primary school age, there was a shiny stone, a smooth stone, and a glossy stone.
Yeah.
And it was saying that every part of your life you need, the good bits, the bad bits, and the mediocre bits, like to form part of your life, and that's what will happen. So when he was little, we used to get the stones out of the bag, and I'd say, get out the shiny stone and go, what was the best bit of your day, Jools? And, sometimes it was, I don't know, sometimes we couldn't think of something. It'd be like, the pizza topping was really nice tonight, or, something random. And other times it was, what was difficult? Well, somebody said something mean to me, and it would get you talking.
That's a great
But
idea.
we both had to do it. So, because he'd go, Mum, what was the best bit of your day? And I go, I can't think. And go, you have to, Mum. And so we would do that from 5 years old or whatever, was at school. And I lasted that probably 2 weeks before he died. And I wish I could remember what we said, but I got into bed with him and I used to sort of spoon with him in bed and go, come on, Jools. And I'd go, and we didn't get the stones out anymore. And I'd be lying next to him and I'd go, stones. And he'd go, oh, Mum, do we have to? And I'd go, yeah, come on, shiny bit. And we'd still do that at 14 years old. Not all the time, but from a younger age, it gets them learning to talk.
It's a really good thing. I think that's and I think it's because when you get to teenage years, the only protection that you've got against anything is you've got to keep them talking.
Yeah.
And actually, if you start that when they're really young, you know, it's such a habit. Yeah. It doesn't become a, right, let's discuss stuff, and they suddenly become very aware that they're being probed for information. Yeah. So that's a good one to do. So while we're talking about advice, actually, this seems a very appropriate time to give you this. This is my guest book, notebook. And the idea of this book is that there's going to be lots of people on this sofa that have gone through something, extraordinary stories, happy, some highs, lows, all sorts, everything. They're all going to be different tales, stories of real life, because real life throws mad stuff at you sometimes. And I want to ask the person sat opposite me, you, to give a bit of advice that you can share with us, something that you've learned along the way, maybe something that's helped you, a phrase or whatever it is, if you could just leave that in there for us. Okay. And then the idea is at the end of all of this, we'll have this amazing tome of incredible information that we can take home and learn from. So
thank you.
I'm going to leave you to do that. You can write that now if you want to.
Write that now.
Yeah.
I'm going to do it without my glasses on. So.
Oh, do you want to borrow mine?
Yeah, I might have to. Thank you.
See if they work. Are you close up?
Oh yeah, look, I can actually see. Brilliant. Okay.
We have like the communal glasses between me and all my friends.
It's like a lot of pressure to write in the first page, isn't it? So goes back to what my parents used to say to me, always try your hardest.
Do you know what? I knew you were going to write that.
Did you?
Yeah, I did. Your first life lesson.
Yeah, always try your hardest. And when you fail, because you will fail at some point, pick yourself back up and try again.
Yes.
Because it doesn't always go well. You know, we all make mistakes. And some are bigger than others, but yeah, pick yourself up and keep going.
Yeah, I mean, life's not going to be plain sailing.
No.
That we know. So it's kind of how you deal with those moments.
And it's in those down moments that you actually learn the most, when things don't go to plan or you have to try again.
Yeah.
And the amount of meetings I sat in Parliament that didn't go to plan, and I was like, oh, it's never going to go through or whatever. And you keep persevering. If you believe in it, just keep trying.
Yeah, persevere. Great advice.
Okay,
Great advice.
I'll finish that off quickly. All done.
Thank you very much. First one to write the book.
Indeed.
Very good. I've got some right to replies here, which I'm going to read out now. It'd be interesting to see what you think about these. You've probably heard this all before. TikTok said they spoke to Ms. Roome to explain that they no longer hold Jools' data, as the law requires them to delete personal data unless needed for running a business. They were not contacted about this matter until 2024, when the information was no longer available, and they further stated that they do not allow content that promotes dangerous behaviour, and the blackout challenge has been blocked on TikTok since 2020.
So that's the first time that they've actually said they have deleted his data, because they've always said until then they might have deleted it. All the rights to reply, the word might is not in that.
It is not in that. So how does that...
Well, we're going to have to wait for a court case. I would love to get to a court case and then go, actually, when did you delete it? If you deleted it, when did you delete it? Because I asked them to preserve it in March 24 when I first contacted them, which they told me they preserved it. So did they delete it before or after that date?
Well, that'll be interesting to find out, won't it? Well, we'll make sure you've got that statement from us as well, because that might be helpful.
Thank you.
Gloucestershire Police said that they will respond once they've seen the interview, so not particularly helpful there. Snapchat did not comment directly, but pointed out that their teen privacy guidelines are available online.
That's helpful, isn't it? Okay.
It's very vague.
Yeah.
Meta initially asked for more details about our show and then did not respond before recording.
Okay.
So once they had all the information about what we'd be discussing, they never got back to us, which is quite telling in its own way also.
Crazy.
So there you go. Nothing that enlightening there that I imagine you didn't already know, apart from perhaps
that word.
from TikTok, yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for... Hang on, I'll take those off in case...
Making you cry.
Yeah. No, thank you. Sorry, I did. Thank you so much. Thank you for coming here and allowing me to share your story with everybody.
Thank you.
And thank you for everything you're doing for our children. Keep going, and hopefully... I'm not going to use the word closure because you'll never get closure, but just get those answers so that you can somehow... What's the right word?
I don't know. Actually, I like the way you said that, because so many people say the wrong thing to bereaved parents. Actually, sometimes there are no right words. Sometimes
I can't find it.
No, move on, get over it. Like, it's not going to happen. I'm never going to. So actually, I quite like the way you stopped that, and I often say that to people: if you don't know what to say, just say I don't know what to say.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it's way better than saying, some of the classic lines of. When my dog died, it was really difficult, and you think, what?
Yeah.
You get an awful lot as a bereaved parent of
I
stupid
bet.
lines from people. So actually, that's a good learning thing for people, just to say, I don't know what to say.
What I can do is give you a massive hug, which is what I've been wanting to do throughout this whole thing. Well done. You've been brilliant.
Appreciated.
And it's been great to meet you.
Thank you very much
You've
indeed.
been brilliant.
You know far too much about my life now. So
I do, and I'm going to tell my kids all about it. I mean, I spoke to Chester about it. He was only 11 this morning, and I was like, should I tell him?
how old are they then?
11, 15 and 17.
Okay.
So right in it.
Yeah.
Right in it.
Yeah.
In all bits. So yeah.
I get them to talk to you, like if they see something harmful or something, just get them to open up to you.
Yeah.
Because sometimes the children think they've done something wrong, and actually they haven't done something wrong. It's not them that's necessarily looking for it. It's being fed to them.
Exactly.
And it's much better you'd know. So
yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Thank you.
On the 16th of July 2026, Ellen took her fight for a new inquest into Jools' death to the High Court.
Ellen, it's so good to see you.
Hi, nice to see you again.
Thank you for doing this. I was desperate to speak to you because I've obviously seen everything in the news, and that day I was glued to my phone just watching all the developments as they were happening. So for anybody that doesn't know what's happened since we last spoke to you, you've been back to the High Court, and tell us what happened.
So yes, last Thursday they agreed to quash Jools' inquest and redo it. So which means I'm the first parent ever to redo a child's inquest over not reviewing social media data at Jools' first inquest. So we get a chance to get that data, hopefully.
Which is the one thing that was so important to you. You were like, that's what holds all the answers.
Yeah, and hopefully we're not too late. We're 4 years down the line, so I'm hoping that social media companies have it, but they didn't look at Snapchat. We do know, which came out in court, Jools was sent a link from a West African organised crime gang. We don't know if Jools clicked on it. It could be an attempt at blackmail or sextortion, but at the moment we don't know. We need to get that information from Meta. There's also the harmful material from TikTok. So we need to look at all of his social media accounts, obtain that data direct from the social media companies and see if we can provide any answers.
And so I remember when I was speaking to you, obviously, as we always do, we get a reply from these companies. And there was a right reply from TikTok in particular that said that the information was no longer available. I remember at the time you were like, okay, that's new news to us. I hadn't heard that before. We obviously gave you all of that. Was any of that any good, any use to you?
So I don't know at this stage. So the coroner now has to reply via Ofcom using Section 101 of the Online Safety Act. So they go via Ofcom direct to the social media companies and request that information. So I don't know. Let's see what happens when we actually get the information, but it will come via the coroner, which is a legal requirement to provide that information, hopefully.
Yes,
so,
there's more people fighting your corner now, so this is good. This is a landmark ruling, so what does that mean for other parents?
Well, there were other bereaved parents sitting behind me, and we all had to be very quiet. So we were in the courtroom and he granted it. We were both all like, just like trying to be quiet, and not somebody went, they all wanted to cheer. And we had to be very quiet. But it means for some of the other parents who have had their inquests, it sets precedents so that they could say, well, actually, in this case, maybe they could look to reopen their own cases and get answers. So it's massive for all of them. We all just sat there and cried and just quietly trying to cry quietly while the judge carried on talking. So yeah, it was very emotional. It was so nice to have the support of the other parents. You know, we've always said we pull together for all of us. It isn't, we're all in this position together, and it's pulling together and supporting all of us. So it was a big day for all of us.
Yeah, huge day. Well done. I mean, it's incredible what you're doing. You're getting there slowly, but surely, that's for sure. Am I allowed to ask you about the ITV drama? Is that a thing yet? Are we allowed to talk about that? Because I just saw that as well, and I was like, oh my God. Because that's talk about getting your story out there on a massive scale. Has that been a long time in the works?
It's been in discussion for a while. So it finally was announced last week as well. So there was a big week last week. Yes, so that will be with ITV, and Jeff Pope is writing it. So that's going to follow the story and show behind the scenes of the loss of a child and my fight to try and get this far. I have to relive all that though. So I have to say all the horrific bits for them to write the drama. So it's not going to be easy going, but it's important to tell the story and the story of some other parents that, the fight we've had to get this far. So yeah, trusting in them to do a good job.
Yeah, well, ITV did an amazing job with the Post Office Masters, and you think the kind of what happened there, and that got the ball rolling, and so much eventually changed. So yeah. This could be a really good thing. Like, this might really help.
Yes, absolutely. I think, what people don't see is what we've all had to endure. And a lot of us have had issues with the police not obtaining the data, mobile phones that weren't looked at. And I'm not the only parent. Even today, there's another parent that said, that we have a group WhatsApp, and they said, the phone has been sitting in a queue for 5 months and nobody's looked at it yet. And when you've lost a child, it's just heartbreaking. You think, come on, let's do something. And there's so many parents in my position. So to share that with the world and hopefully make a change will be massively important.
Okay, well, look, keep in touch. If anything changes or there's any more updates, I'll be here waiting to tell your story to on our platform. But just again, congratulations from all of us. Like, we were so moved by your story. I loved meeting you and coming in here. So I was, delighted that you just pushed this forward a little bit further. And I'm sorry you're having to fight so hard, but it's an important fight.
It is, and I'll keep going. I'll try until I've tried turned over every stone. I'm not stopping. I'm going to try. It's important. So
thanks so much, Ellen. Thank you. Good to see you. All right, lots of love. Bye.
Bye.
If you've been affected by anything you've heard or are suffering through bereavement, please check the links in the description for help and support. And if you would like to make a donation, follow the link to Ellen's Just Giving page, where she is raising money for Papyrus, a charity for the prevention of young suicide in memory of Jools. Thanks for watching.